Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Blue Corner on a Wednesday evening. I've seen it before, but we'll call ourselves the original unofficial selection committee. This is Joe Luzza coming to you from a very hot Bangkok. I believe it's very cold in Melbourne, so I'll throw over to my co-host, Mr.
Chris Beach here. Melbourne, Australia is calling, and Joe is absolutely right. It was 3 degrees in Melbourne this morning, hence the Italian parka and the Fight
Yes.
MND beanie this evening.
Is that even? You're not wearing. I thought you were wearing a scarf as well, Chris.
No, this is just what you see here is just the top of the parka.
I've got to ask a question, Chris. Is there no heating in your house, or is that because of the electricity restrictions or lack of electricity that you have in Melbourne?
No, there is heating in this house. I just thought to myself, look, this is a good quality parka. Let's give it a wear.
Trying to get value for money out of it.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't want to upset people, but at 7 o'clock this morning, when I went for my walk here in Bangkok, it was just a mild 29 degrees, and it said feels like 33. So, and it's winter here in Bangkok. So, if that's the winter uh, temperature, you guys can imagine what it's like in summer.
Yeah, I can. I can. And
Never
I've
mind.
never been to Thailand, so I
Well,
don't know too much more than that.
Beachy, there's a spare bedroom here. You're always welcome, mate. Always welcome.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate it.
just before we went on air, Chris and I were talking about Carlton and St Kilda. I know Vince and Steve went through the game thoroughly, but Chris and I usually like to give our little spiel on things. And I was telling Chris, I hear a lot of stories, or I've read, as people know, I'm in Bangkok, so I only really watch the show or the game on TV. So it's not the same as being there. And I hear a lot of people say, oh, Carlton lost it, St Kilda didn't win it. Uh, we were totally outcoached by Brett Ratton. The players didn't look interested. My viewpoint is, did we lose it as opposed to they win it? Well, the scoreboard tells you no. And as I said to Chris, if any one of those points had been a goal, it could have had a different. It's a sliding doors moment. The ball goes back to the centre, and who knows? They probably could have got a goal as opposed to us kicking 2 or 3 points. They do say bad kicking is bad football. Were we out coached? I don't think we were, because we had more shots on goal. I think that they were aware of how we moved the ball and tried their best to stop all that. I just think basically, and this has been a problem with us in a lot of games this year, Chris. We get off to slow starts. I don't know if we don't show teams respect. I don't know if there's something mental, but I just think that I think the blokes went in rather easily, thought that this is gonna happen. If I don't do something, my mate Chera will do it, and if Chera doesn't do something, well then George Hewitt will do it. What do you think, Chris?
Well, as someone that attended the game, um, you know, I was originally of the school of thought we were out coached, we were out hunted for the ball, we were outgunned when they went forward, and it was players like Paddy Ryder who just tapped it into space and hitting the hill for St Kilda, just ran into that space, knowing Ryder was going to come in there, just tap it down to him. He'd get out easily, and we were just one step behind too quickly.
Mm.
Next thing you know, when we did actually go forward, it was then players like Jack Sinclair who kept picking it off and giving them the slingshot rebounds to go forward. Then after that, sure, Lewis Young did a great job in restricting Lewis in Max King, I should say. But look, it was very very hard viewing. Though really, if I'm going to mention one player as a highlight, then really that is Jesse Motlop. He did kick 3 goals, kept us in it early. But others have to step up, and when you're kicking 1-9 in a quarter, when that only leads you to a result of a win, you got to be doing better than that. And a special mention to the crowd. There was 40 plus there last night, and we all got around the wolf, which is exactly what I want to hear.
Yeah. Well, just on that, Chris, in the second half, well, the first half we obviously kicked 6-7 and they kicked 7-6. Then the second half we kicked 4-11 to their 7-3. So, you knew it was going to be a bad night. Harry McKay, he's doing his round the corner kicks and they were sort of skying up in the air. And no, I don't know. And so, Gina, I don't think we were out coached. I agree with Gina. I think that's hard to tell people, oh, you've been out coached. Well, define out coached. I mean, I just think that our attitude just stank from the start. And don't get me wrong, it's not like they didn't try. They try. But I don't know. I think they were waiting for someone else to do something, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm playing with my computer. I'm sorry. I bought it. I was telling Chris I bought a new computer, and I'm still working out how to use the damn thing. Yeah. Look, we're getting a few things not out coached. Bad football. Bad kicking's bad football. Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. All I can say is that I know I was telling Chris on a scale of 1 to 10 about being disappointed, I think mine was about a 20. So I was not happy, but look, I'm sure they'll learn from it. I just hope that hasn't cost us a spot, not only in the 4 but in the final 8. I mean, we got some pretty hard games coming up, Chris. Really hard games.
We do.
And
we've got to worry about West Coast this week, but looking past that, it's Geelong, it's GWS, who we've beaten already, but this time it's down here. It's Adelaide, and it's over there. Now, like I said, we'll touch on them in preview then when we get to those weeks. But Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, Collingwood. That's our final run home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not good. Not good. So, Chris, you were obviously there last week. You were happy with the Wolf?
I was very happy with the Wolf because as a guy that was born in the 90s, the original Wolf for me was Ange Christer, but those that are older than me will tell you that it was actually Val Perovic that came up with it previously.
For those of you watching, I remember standing on the old press box wing under the white press box, which had you get the pies and the chips around the back of the press box. And one day, some guy when Val Perovic kicked the ball, he just shouted out "woof!" And next thing you know, there was about 10 people saying it, and by the end of the game, the whole crowd was saying it. So and then we carried it forward to Ange Christou, and as seen on the jumper punch a couple of weeks ago, Ange Christou officially handed the mantle to Adam Saab. So it's good. A bit of entertainment, But
yeah,
we need
crowd
characters.
Got behind it.
Yeah, we need some.
And the whole crowd got behind it.
Yeah. Now, Chris, this week you mentioned West Coast Eagles in Perth. Obviously playing them about 8 weeks too late or 10 weeks too late, unlike others who had their seconds. I had two friends over from Perth this week, over the weekend, and they said to me they went to the football and they didn't even know who half the players were. They didn't even know them from the waffle. So you're going bad, but I think, now they've got a few stars back like Nick Nat-Nui and stuff like that. I've looked at our website, Chris, and this is what I can tell people. So some updates. Ed Curnow available for selection. So let's just write these down and we'll go through them individually. Ed Curnow.
Yep.
Sam Durden available. So we'll go through these individually. Lachlan or Lockie Fogarty, or Fogarty, depends how you want to say it. Jack Martin is a test, so we'll put him down anyway. Jack Martin. I'll just put test.
So hang on. Kerno, Durden. Who was the third?
Fogarty.
Yep, I'll just write that down.
Yeah. Matt Owies. Didn't he play last week?
No, he was.
Okay. And Jacob Wiedering.
So hang on. Jay Wiedering.
So let's go through.
And
Matt Owies and Jacob Wiedering. Jack Martin?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go. Ed Curnow hasn't played. It's round 17. Hasn't even played in the VFL. Loyal servant. No one can question his courage, commitment, but I don't think he'll get a game this week.
And even if he does, Joe, I reckon he has to come in through the reserves. Because our midfield at the moment, regardless of what it looks like, with Chera injured and whatnot, it is stacked. He cannot. I don't think he can get back in.
No, I don't think he will. Sam Durden. Now, I read a lot of posts on Carlton sites about Plowman, and one guy, he's just sparred. How do I tell my child that we've wasted our money on him? Well, we don't really have a plethora of tall defenders that we can replace him with. Sam Durden, I'd put some question marks. He may come in. He may not. My thing is, if Jacob Wiedering is fit, Jacob Wiedering will come in before him. And the only way I can see Sam Durden getting in before before Wiedering or with Wiedering is if not Boyd, who's the other? Lewis Young is injured.
Yeah.
Or Plowman is injured. So, here we go. Gina agrees. I agree. Love Ed, but he's gone. And I agree with Gina. I don't even think he'll even get another game this year, to be honest. I think we've seen the last of him.
He's probably going to play a game in the twos, but even so.
Sam Durden. So I'll put a question mark next to him just in case. We don't know what's going to happen with our selectors.
Yeah, he might have to come into the VFL as well, but we'll wait and see on that.
Yeah. Lachlan Fogarty. I can't see. Who's he going to replace?
Gives us forward pressure, but there are players ahead of him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it all depends. Do we drop? Who's the other Durden? The small forward. I get the Corey. So for Lockie Fogarty to come in, that means you're going to have to drop either Corey Durden, Jesse Motlop, or Josh Honey. Isn't it? They're probably
Josh Honey.
Similar.
I reckon we keep Jesse Motlop. He kicked 3 against St Kilda last week on Friday night. I reckon that's enough for me to keep him in the side for this week against West Coast anyway.
So what do we think about Lachlan Fogarty or Lockie Fogarty? I think he'll be in the VFL, to be honest.
Yeah, look, forward pressure in the VFL. I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah. Then we've got Jack Martin, who's got test. Well, let's hope he fails the test because, I mean, we're paying a lot of money for this guy, and I don't really think we're getting good value for money out of him. I don't know who decided to pay him all that money, and now people can see why the Gold Coast. He was at the Gold Coast, wasn't he?
Yeah, Gold Coast.
You can see why Gold Coast didn't match his offer. I don't know. Gina says Wiedering in, Kemp out. Yeah, probably.
Look,
don't know.
Kemp hasn't been too bad. If he is dropped, he's probably a little bit stiff, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, so Jack Martin, I don't think he's in. Matt Owies may come in for Corey Durden. I think if it depends what they think they want or need. I mean, obviously for the last couple of weeks, I don't know if our small forward pressure has been enough. Our mid pressure certainly was enough. I read somewhere this week, someone said, do you think that our midfield is too one paced? Okay, let's face it. Cripper's not the fastest guy in the world.
No.
Bam Bam's not the fastest guy in the world.
Nope.
George Hewitt's probably not the fastest, but Walsh certainly is quick, and Zach Fisher, when they throw him in the middle, is quick.
Yep.
I just think last week that's where we probably lost it, with some of our run and carry. But I don't know. I think it's a lot different watching a game live to watching a game on TV, because the camera only really focuses on the play, whereas at the ground you get the whole 100% view. So Chris, you're probably in a better position than me to talk about that. What are your thoughts about our midfield pressure last week? When we don't have the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. For a midfield that is, again, I said it before, and I'll say it again tonight. It's stacked. There are stars all over the place. But when we don't have the ball, especially against St Kilda, they just outworked us for it, and they were more effective with it going forward. Again, like I said to you all fair, when Ryder tapped it down, Hill knew where to be for the tap down, and he was able to get out and go forward effectively. Now, yes, they weren't always hitting up Max King, who personally was kept very quiet by Lewis Young. And if I can just divulge on that for 1 minute, Lewis Young has been a steal of the recruiting department, because I don't know what the Dogs were thinking with him, but he has been a get for us, especially when Wiedering has been down.
Yeah, I think we've picked up two really good recruits in Lewis Young and George Hewitt. George Hewitt, I don't even know why he wanted to leave the Swans. I know Lewis Young left because he wasn't getting a game, but George Hewitt was getting a regular game, wasn't he?
Oh, semi-regular. He wasn't always. He was getting picked, but then he'd probably miss 1 or 2 games, and because the Swans were trying to focus on the more younger players coming through.
Yeah. I want to come back to that too. Let me write that down. Young. Okay, so do we think Owies will come in for Durden?
They're pretty much the same player. Because here's the pattern with Owies and that I've noticed. Okay, we'll start with round 1 as the example. If Owies isn't stepping up, it's then Corey Durden doing the pressure and kicking the goals. Again, and then next game against the Dogs, reverse happened. Always putting the pressure and kicking the goals, Durden taking a step back. And so on, and so on. So really, you've got to try and find consistency from both of them, in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I just want to put this notice up on the thing. Gina's spoke about this on Sunday on Cripper. Handballs, he's apparently got a back injury. Richmond done it. Patterson. It's funny because earlier in the year, Cripper wasn't handballing a lot. He was kicking. Now he's gone back to his handball. I don't know, Gina, if it's the back injury. If it is the back injury, then don't play him, for God's sake. Kicking, I don't know. He was kicking goals. I don't know. It's an interesting one. And hang on, Gina's talking about no, but they might give Corey a bit of a rest. Yeah, I think Corey Durden probably. He's had four. I'm not going to say bad games, but I think they've been average, and maybe he might go out as managed as opposed to omitted. Seems to be the new trend these days. It's managed as opposed to omitted. But I don't know. And we all think Jacob Wiedering is definitely going to come in, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty much the only tick as far as I'm concerned here, because Wiedering, I reckon, will take on Josh Kennedy. If anything, he might switch to someone like a Darling or a Shuey later down the line, but yeah, he'll definitely start on Kennedy.
So if he does come in, who are we dropping? It's got to be either Kemp or Plowman. Now they're the only two that you can drop, in my view.
That's
Uh,
that's the tricky one,
or
isn't it, mate? Because
yeah,
um,
you, I mean you can't. Let's go through this in the back line. You've got Kemp, right? Lewis Young has done way too. He's been way too consistent.
yep. So
Uh,
he's there, no problem.
Lewis Young, yeah, good. Lockie Plowman. Look from all reports, he Voss likes him. So all these people that want him dropped and drawn and hung and all that.
Caught it.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. You're not going to drop Nick Newman, Adam Sard, or Doherty.
Nope.
O'Brien, Cripps, Chera, Honey, Walsh, Motlop, Kerno, McKay, Silvani. So no, Wiedering can only come in at the expense of either Plowman or Kemp. And I'm going to say he comes in for Kemp.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I said earlier, Joe, that Kent would be stiff to get dropped for Wiedering. I think that's the only thing you can do, because Plowman, as much he has been a whipping boy for us fans over the last few years, I'm not going to lie. He has been doing okay with us in the sides with him there.
Yeah, yeah. As for any other changes, Chris, I'm just looking at stats. Josh Honey, he only had 10 touches, so there might be a question mark on Honey. This is just my viewpoint. Jack Nunes had an ordinary game, although that's probably his first this year, and people know I'm not a big rat for him, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Kemp and
Yep.
Durden. So maybe we may see Josh Honey omitted for Lockie Fogarty or Matt Owies.
Yeah, and again, he's another one that'd be stiff because he kicked. I know we're going back a bit now, Joe, but he kicked 4 goals, one in the VFL against the Bulldogs reserves. For the traditionalist football fans out there, aka Footscray, out
Yeah.
at Princes Park. But look, it's hard to figure out who is going to come in and who's going to come out to make way for them.
We also don't know who's under an injury cloud because, as per usual, the clubs are not very honest and forthcoming and open. They like to they like this cloak and dagger stuff. And then, like a couple of weeks ago, I think it was against Freo. I mean, a couple of players even hurt themselves in the warm up. So
Always was one of them.
yeah, what do you think about? Will Setterfield stay on as the emergency? He may. I feel sorry for these emergencies. I I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this medical emergency. I just think it's you have if you're going to have interchange, just have 4 or 5 interchange. I mean, maybe we could go to the American style where we have infinite number. You have about 600 blokes on your roster who run out, and half of them never get a game.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. I mean, look, really, but you know what? I'm gonna use this as an example. All right, in the VFL, so the reserves, I think this might have been maybe a couple of years ago now. There was a thing called the 23rd man, and the 23rd man could play, but they were part of the interchange rotation. So I'm kind of thinking, and this might just be my crazy thoughts here, but I'm thinking they might that they should look at that, just so in case that one player does go down, they have cover for that. That's not a medical emergency, a medical sub.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting view. If anyone else has got a view, be happy to hear it. But I mean, Chris, I don't know if you remember, in the old days, we used to have a 19th and 20th man. And, once you took someone off, that was it. They couldn't come back on. So,
Yeah,
I know
before my time a bit there, Joe, but nonetheless, I'm sure it happened.
Yeah, then they went to the 19th and 20th man were interchanged. Then they went to 3 on the bench. Then Kevin Sheedy bitched and moaned as he does and went to 4 on the bench. So, and now we've got 4 and 1 sub. I mean, I don't know. Everyone says, the reason people aren't going to football is because they're changing the rules too much. Yeah, I just think it's the price. I just think it's over the top pricing, and trying to if you take a family of 4, you don't get much change out of $150.
You'd be lucky to get change out of 200.
Yeah, by the time you bought the tickets, little Beachy and little Joey want a bucket of chips. What are they now? About $12 a bucket of chips. I haven't been to football for years.
You know what, Joe? I haven't paid much attention to that, but I probably should the next time I go.
What's she gonna do? Isn't a lettuce about $11 or $12 these days?
It's almost pushing $15, Joe.
Good reason to give up veggies. Watch this show. Just eat meat. Meat. What else can we have? Meat and bread. That's it. So, Chris, I think the only certain change I can see, is Jacob Wiedering in for Kemp. And I think one of Honey or Owies will probably be managed, and they'll probably Honey, Owies or Durden. Honey or Durden, and they might bring in a Fogarty or Owies. So that's my viewpoint. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts?
I agree. If there's one force change with Wiedering available, it's going to be Kemp, and he's going to be stiff to be dropped because he hasn't done too badly. I mean, some would say he probably needs to have work on his work rate a bit more in the contest. But again, as I say, he's probably going to be stiff to be dropped, if anything. Do I see any other changes in my opinion? Maybe, but I don't know what they are yet. So we'll see what happens. I will
commit
say
yourself, Beachy.
Sorry, I will say this. Remember, guys, we are Sunday at 4:40 Melbourne Australian Eastern Standard Time, 2:40 in WA if you're over there. So the final side will not be named until Friday at about 5 o'clock. We will have a side named tomorrow, but it will be an extended squad. So just keep your eyes on that, guys.
Yeah. There you go. This is why I love Gina. She agrees with me. I'm with you, Joe. Take that emergency sub out and just add the extra player. Yeah, I agree. It's just silly. Or you just say there's four interchange. That's it. Cop it. You cop it sweet. Injuries are part of the game. So are fatigue. That's part and parcel of the game, I guess. Before we give our predictions on the game, Chris, another big week in football. Anything controversial that you wanted to talk about other than anything at Carlton?
Yeah, there was something that caught my eye, John. I don't know how much of it you witnessed, but Brisbane and the Western Bulldogs on a Thursday night up at the Gabba. Eric Hipwood, decided to
Yes.
push his opponent into an umpire and is referred straight to the tribunal
Yep.
and
And then he
was
got
given
off.
it will not necessarily got it, not necessarily 100% off. He was fined $2,500 for his action into pushing an umpire, and and not suspended. Now, Joe, before I get your thoughts on that, I'm just going to quickly give you my synopsis on that because I didn't quite see it until after the game. But upon seeing that, I thought to myself, "You are joking! You could have injured an umpire in the process of that." Now, usually there is an emergency umpire in the event that that does happen. Though it is quite rare to see it happen. We have to go back to Troy Pennell, who copped an absolute of a knee to get himself knocked out, where he was
Yep.
getting stretched off. And anyway, I thought to myself, look, if you're going to try and stamp that out, you've got to set Eric Hipwood an example, and you've got to be suspended for that. So the fact that he didn't quite sit right with me, but that's my opinion. Joe, over to you.
No, I tend to agree with you, Chris. I actually think that even the week before, people were talking about a send-off rule, like sin bin and stuff like that. I think sometimes you need to change the game for the better, and sometimes they're going, oh, but it's not prevalent in our game. Well, let's try and stamp it out before it becomes prevalent in our game. So, Chris, you work in the legal fraternity, and I've studied law. So the one thing that now they're going to claim is, we've got precedent, so I can push a player into an umpire. And apparently, even in the rule book, it says that this is only a fine. You don't even get suspended.
It shouldn't be.
But this is the problem. It's a sport, and then all of a sudden, to get players to play, they get these high-powered QCs who go through the rule book with a fine-tooth comb and use the letter of the law to say, oh, but the precedent, in Eric Hipwood versus blah, 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 who he was charged with, pushing a player into the umpire. And even though he was found guilty, he was found that there was no charge to answer to, or blah, 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 blah. I mean, you know as well as I, Chris, these lawyers can mince words into anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're experts at it. And
I'm not disputing that at all.
And that's my point. That why do you even let lawyers into these tribunal hearings? You shouldn't, right? And then they go, oh no, but the player needs someone to represent him. Well, okay, maybe it should be the president of the club or the GM of football operations or something. But they start paying these lawyers, and I got this guy off. But look, I don't know. I think the AFL have had many chances to do things, and they haven't done it. One thing, thanks Gina for bringing this up, Chris. I'll change the subject.
Yep,
Tom Williamson, very, very sad.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's from up away where I know a lot of people. So
he's an Ararat.
I've been trying to. Yeah. I know people who live in Beaufort, which is not far from Ararat. And I've been trying to find out. Apparently, they're very well loved and respected family around Ararat. So I don't know. I hope he's okay. And this was my point before. You got all these idiots on the internet shouting out, "Oh, Lockie Plowman, you spud, you're a useless." How do we know that doesn't affect him mentally? I mean, just if these people are so good, why don't they put on football boots and go and play themselves? I know that you pay, but just because you pay to go watch a football doesn't give you the right to call someone a clown or you're a spud or you're wasting my money. You don't like it, don't go.
Simple as that.
Just did it. But well, I always thought that Willow would have made a perfect wingman for us. Perfect, right? So very sad.
Just as good off half back.
Yeah. I think maybe he wasn't going to get the halfback, with Nick Newman, Sard, Doherty, Stocker. I think he sort of saw the writing, but I thought he would have made a really, really, really good wingman. He was quick, raking left foot kick. So yeah, it's quite sad. Anything else, Chris, on AFL?
Not that I can think of at the moment, Joe. But as they all say, a week's a long time in football. So by the time we do another one of these, more will have happened.
Yeah, and just changing the subject. Good to see Nick Kyrgios start stirring the pot.
Oh my God! He's never stopped stirring that pot.
Gee, he must love the attention. Then I read in the paper. Then I read in the paper this morning the guy's being charged with assaulting his girlfriend. One charge of assault. Oh, whatever. Hey, but I did hear something that warmed the cockles of my heart today. Adam Gilchrist is going to watch Carlton West Coast and hopes that Carlton kick the absolute crap out of the Eagles. I didn't know he was a Carlton supporter. My estimation of Adam Gilchrist has just gone through the roof.
Yeah, yeah. Look, being a WA lad, I will say this. With Gilchrist being a WA lad, I will say this. The West Coast Eagles actually approached him and said, "We want you to be the number one ticket holder." And Gilchrist said to them, "Get stuffed. I'm a Carlton supporter, not a West Coast supporter."
Yeah, that's our Gilly. And
absolutely.
I didn't. And you know who else is a big? I know two. The other football code. I know two very big Carlton supporters who actually watch the game. Is Kevin Muscat and Ange Postecoglou, huge Carlton supporters, because I'm friends with both of them, and they love watching the game. So be proud, Carlton supporters. We've got a few good people. Who's that politician, Frydenberg? That killed me when I heard he's a Carlton supporter. No, isn't he the number one ticket holder?
Look, if he is, I don't know, but
I think he is.
Yeah, but Joe, he was the local member out this way, but that got turfed in the last.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we'll have a quick exit. We were going to get hopefully Golden Tonsils himself, Vince Lochisano, on, but Vince and Rocco from the Jumper Punch flew to Perth this morning. Gina, I hate Manchester United. I think you worked that out on my messages this morning. But Chris, give me a prediction.
Well, if we were having this game, 2 months ago against West Coast over there or over here, as the case might be, I would have said Carlton by over 50. Now that they're getting their players back and they'll have a very parochial home crowd advantage in Perth. So fans like Rocco and Vince will have their work cut out in trying to shut them up.
Good luck.
Oh, that's what I mean. They'll have their work cut out. Anyway, Carlton by 3 goals. I don't see this being a percentage versus as much as we would like it to be, despite the fact that they are down there.
I'm worried about Natanui. That's what worries me. But I thought Tom De Koning held his own quite well last week. Hang on. Jacob, we always come up against threes with their peak. Gina says Carlton by 10 points, not confident. We do have a lot of supporters over there, Gina, and I know the WA Blues will make their presence felt. I'm going to say Carlton by 2 goals in a very close game.
Yep.
2 goals. So, Chris, that brings us to the end of the show. Nice, short, sharp, and sweet tonight. Sorry, mate. It's too hot here. I'm going for a swim. So I'll think of you.
That.
I'll think of you when the sun's on me, and I'll think, oh, beachy. It'll warm you up. So thanks a lot, Chris, for making yourself available. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to watch Steve and Vince from Perth Sunday 5:00. It'll be straight after the game. Jumper Punch boys, I've had some good guests on. And as usual, Goz and Firma, I don't know where Goz is tonight, but on that note, goodbye, Jacob. Goodbye, Gina. It's a goodbye from me and her.
And a goodbye from me.
Okay, and let's go the Blue Baggers.
Absolutely.
See you next week.